he's angry, he's wanting to throw things around. I need crew to move back, please, while I release him out.
Okay.
Please. Crew, move all the way back. He's trying to take over my body. Just move all the way.
The following program has been filmed for your entertainment. However, viewers may find some scenes disturbing.
The Moorish Castle, a centuries-old building with a lot of history. Up until 4 years ago, this place was used as a prison. All the inmates were moved to a new location at Windmill Hill. This week, on the Ghost Trail, we're here to find out who got left behind.
My name is Michael Scott, and I'm the skeptic. If I could advance a philosophy, it would be skepticism, and it's just that it's not really a very complicated concept. It's just that that every single claim you're skeptical about it. So you start off from the position, well, I need to see the evidence.
Hi, my name is Kieran Possum. I'm a believer. I'm part of the Gibraltar Paranormal Society. This is all about being open-minded. It's not about convincing anybody. It's not about showing what's real and what's not real. It's just being about open-minded to see if there is anything out there, to see if anything which may or may not happen may influence your thinking.
In my line of work, I try not to take opinions. I try not to take views. I try to remain neutral, and that's the line that I'm going to take.
We asked you to look into some of the sites that we're going to be visiting and to see what you can find. And one of the famous cases that you've uncovered is this gentleman who was hanged at the prison. What can you tell us? Can you tell us about it?
That's right. Towards the end of 1930, November 1930, in fact, this is what this particular newspaper, Gibraltar Chronicle article refers to. A woman, Maria Luisa Lozano, was found dead in her flat on Market Lane. And she had been murdered, as it eventually transpired. The man arrested, subsequently convicted of the murder, was Ernesto Opiso, a well-known local of Spanish extraction who was effectively a sort of a handyman. He did odd jobs around the place, around Gibraltar. A gentleman who suffered from some physical disabilities and also some mental disabilities. But returning to the Opiso case, he was found guilty, despite public protest, despite the collection of signatures. This is it's a very thick file, and this contains signatures, signature upon signature, Gibraltarians petitioning against Opiso's execution. It came to nothing. He was executed in 1931, and he's buried within the grounds of the Moorish Castle prison.
They say that some of the old inmates are still walking around the place.
I wouldn't be surprised because they're buried in the walls. You see, it's British custom when when they execute somebody in the prison, they don't take them to the cemetery. They bury them within the walls of the prison. And if you go into one of the patios where they used to have the scaffold, you will see plaques in the wall with the names of those who were hanged, who are buried in the walls.
But we know that, for example, that these plaques here, these name plaques, are where the people were buried. Yep. Their bones are in those walls.
Okay. There's one of them was one of the ones that you mentioned earlier on, which
Obiso.
Obiso one. Yeah.
That's that one over there. Yeah. At least the date rings a bell.
And I was really amazed to see the conditions that people were put in the prison. A real prison, like you see in films. It's not a holiday center, let's put it that way. We're talking about 200 years ago, you know. A small door, a very small room, without any bed or anything, and that must have been terrible. And the first room you come into, there was a lime bath where you would put the bodies to decompose them, you know.
We had a lime bath where they used to decompose the bodies. Where we've just come from was the execution area. This general area, not necessarily these cells, they haven't been used for many, many years. They used to come out crying and kicking and screaming.
But you're on your way to your death.
Well, no, but we weren't talking about just the execution ones. We're talking about after that, when once the executions were stopped, because of what they reported that they heard and saw within the area and the cells and everything else.
Really, really gory. Enough to see that and have a fit if you were going to be put in there.
My name is Steven Belilo. I've been working as a prison officer since 2001. Since then until 2010, I've been working in the old Moorish Castle prison. I never saw anyone. I felt that something was there. Someone was like following us around. The only thing I actually saw once was a big heavy book, must weigh like 5 kilos. It actually lifted up from the table and it was thrown to the other side of the room. Apart from that, I heard other stories that someone seen, they call him El Capitan.
As a prison, I suppose it starts to function at the end of the 18th century, so it's relatively recent. The castle itself goes back to the 14th century, 1330s, built by Muslims. It's very dramatic to see even today. You go through a very narrow passageway. On the right-hand side is what I call the rooms with a view, with a little window, and you were a really naughty boy. The ones on the left are really very, very dark and no window at all. The gallows are no longer there, sadly, but the position of the gallows, we know where they were, and people were hanged there. And generally the practice afterwards was to take the bodies and put them in a lime pit, which you can still see there today.
I'm looking forward to see what's happening today. It must be
exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'd like to see what the medium comes up with and see, how accurate she is, because this place has history by the bucket load. By the bucket load.
Samantha Donbevand says she can speak to those who have left our mortal realm. However, she has never been to Gibraltar before, she doesn't know where we're taking her, and she hasn't done any prior research. Everything you see in this part of the program actually happened.
go to this left-hand side, and I've got a jet. That solar wants to shift his energy, so I need to connect. I need to go in there. This is the main area that I need to be in. Thank you.
Okay.
But I just want to check the giant on something, please, and I'm just going to put it in a sec.
You okay?
Yeah. This gentleman's very angry that you're all here, obviously, at this moment in time. So I'm just going to move him into another area, and then I'm going to carry on walking around because I'm not ready to. I'll channel his energy in a moment, but I'm just going to ask him not to bother us right now, and that I'm working. The voices weren't heard. There's something about the voices not being heard. So much suffering, so much unnecessary torture is what I get. Torture. To tell myself I can't go any further, I'll have to go in there separately and do what I need to do, but I cannot go in there any further. I'm feeling too much pain in the lower back. I feel disjointed. I feel as if I just feel very heavy and in an awful lot of pain, an awful lot of suppression. So it's just too much pain and sorrow in it for a moment. I need to go back out, and I'm just going to change the vibration going there, please.
Just to move away?
I'm okay for a moment because I'm not channeling spirit. I'm just getting the information about the death and areas that I can intuitively feel. I'll have to change my vibration shortly to
be able to go in there.
To go in there, and then to give you the yes and no answers that I'm getting independently, because I have no history at all of anything.
Okay.
Damnation. It's like they are damned. Lines of my body shifting.
You need to sit down.
I may need to. I see my face is starting to shift. So yeah, he wants to. He's very angry that way.
Okay.
It's
Just find your chair.
It's damned. I just get downed. You just really.
You need to stay here, or do you want to move somewhere else?
I need to come out of it.
You sit down here?
Stairs.
But this won't be me, my face will shift, and it will be whoever this wants to channel about what happened.
Is there anything we need to be worried about?
No, I'm in complete control. I let the energy shift come in, and it can say what it needs to say. It's obviously been here hundreds of years, so it's going to be quite a dense energy. It's not going to be like me channeling someone's loved one. It's a different vibration completely.
Okay.
It's just said this sense of injustice and damned. So there's a whatever it was, they were damned. I just get this damned word. Unnecessary. Okay. I really don't want to channel it, but I feel it's something that I need to do right now. Okay. you doing that? Put down. Oh. He's angry, he's wanting me to throw things around, and I'm explaining that that's not where I'm coming from and that's what is needed to be done. But there's an anger, there's a frustration that they were all damned and there was nothing they could do and it was an injustice. I want to channel this whole energy, but I just feel very, very angry at this moment in time about it all, about me being here. He's very happy right now here and hasn't wanted to be found. It's just an anger. It's an anger that I really don't like. Just asking me not to get angry, and I'm just now going to. Because I work from love and I don't do the journey, you know, this is where it's at, and he's there now, he's just trying to get his truth. The area where they enjoy to be at that time. My voice has shifted, it's gentler, it's a gentler energy. I can cope with it better than the ferocious gentleman who is very angry about the injustice of him being here.
Could it all be different people? Or is it just one?
No, it's all different, and it's different souls that are connecting with me
Right,
at the moment.
so different messages are coming from different
This is
individuals.
packed with souls. It's packed. It's absolutely packed, and there's several souls I can channel at some point. But the main gentleman, when we went into the main area there, he was very angry, and he was talking about this being restricted, and he wasn't able to speak his truth, and there was a whole injustice in that area where we were. There was a whole injustice, and then the hanging, the choking, the not being able to breathe was all. That was what I was sensing with the souls that were stuck there.
Was that in the? You were saying, was that in the area
where we just?
Where you just couldn't go any further?
Not at the moment, no. Still this theme of injustice going through, but this would have been where they got some type of peace. We've also got an energy vortex going on up there in the land above, so there's something about here where I can quite happily, if I needed to do specialist work, then I would be.
So you've just noticed the fact that this is a chapel, and that's why they would have got some peace.
Yeah. I do, yeah. Got somebody who wants to channel in again. Goodness me. To control my anger. It's I'm having to, again, it's this justice. It's as if they tried all kinds of things to try and be away from here. Up here, that's what I get. I can't. I'm not willing to channel his full energy because he's quite angry. He's quite demonic in the respect that he's been here quite a while, but there's this fighting, there's that type of thing up in this area, so I really don't like it. I see thousands, but I see hundreds of them just fighting and just wanting the truth, and there's just an anger. If I was to let this soul fully connect with me, which I won't at this moment in time, it's too dangerous, he would fling this at all of you. That's what I'm getting. I'm having to contain his anger. Do you understand? It's like he wants to bang here, he wants to just, so... He's so angry he's still left of being here. He shouldn't have been here, and that's what's the anger that I'm getting right now, and especially being in this area. I don't like it. I just want to, and I can't because it might fall down, but yeah, he is showing me exactly. It could have been like this could have been restricted like this for days, weeks, just stuck like this for days and weeks and days and weeks. You guys just to move back while I release them all and just sleep, please.
You didn't know anything about this place before you came here?
No, not at all.
Of course, there are some visual clues that would lead you, as you approached it. Of course, you saw the ancient walls. Would it surprise you to know that it was a prison?
When I'm channeling at this level, I don't really see anything other than souls and the spirit. There's no clues. I have no history of Gibraltar in any way, shape or form, and I've wanted to stay that way to kind of prove the truth of the work that I do.
Is that the sort of energy that you were getting?
Immediately suffering, the tightness, obviously, unnecessary suicides. There was an awful lot of hangings, injustice, distruth, being restricted. It was just and unnecessary suffering, unnecessary.
This is your first time in the presence of a medium, certainly the first time that you've had an experience like that. Well, your immediate thoughts?
Very intense, very, just quite a strange experience, really. Wasn't really what I expected, to be honest. In some parts it was, in other parts it wasn't. The medium herself, Samantha, was obviously feeling very powerful emotions. But yeah, it's just quite interesting overall.
There's no denying the fact that she did get very close to some of the real life events that took on there, and even some of the reported legends and stories that come out from the prison. It's even more surprising that she had absolutely no information of where she was. She was driven to the castle without actually knowing where she was going. So
I was quite shocked when she said the words hanged, suicide.
Yes, definitely.
She didn't know anything.
To pick up, especially by the courtyard, to pick up that hangings have taken place here, and even the suicide where the famous cell where the suicide took place. For her to pick that up is just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Next week on the Ghost Trail, we'll be looking for one of the most famous ghost stories in Gibraltar, the convent's Grey Lady.